There are quite several formidable Native American tribes, but do you know that 3 tribes stand out among the others as the most dreadful? These indigenous people would tear through anything which tries to stand in their way, not just like tissue paper, but in the most gruesome way possible. Here on Native Journals, we will unveil 3 of the deadliest Native American tribes you probably never knew. Before you join this chilly revelation, don't hesitate to like and subscribe to the channel for more enlightening videos. Saying the name of this tribe alone struck massive fear into the hearts of all who knew them, especially other native tribes. Popularly known as the Lord of the Plains, they have their name from the Ute word Comanche, which means anyone who wants to fight me all the time, or simply put, enemy. The origin of the Comanches can be traced back to when they were part of the Sioux tribe and lived in the western United States, specifically in a place called the Great Basin. Anthropological evidence explains the similarities between these tribes, which include their language and general way of life. Their language belongs to the Uto-Aztecan linguistic family, a language group that includes various Native American languages across the western United States. European settlers, particularly the Spanish, introduced horses to North America in the 16th century. These horses gradually spread among indigenous tribes. The Comanches engaged in trade with neighboring tribes, such as the Spanish-influenced Pueblo people or other plains tribes that already possessed horses. Through these trade networks, the Comanches could obtain horses by exchanging goods like buffalo hides, captives, or other resources. With their newfound method of mobility, they rapidly grew to become skilled horsemen. The acquisition of horses facilitated a remarkable expansion of the Comanche territory. No longer confined to their mountainous home and the vicinity of their Sioux neighbors, the Comanches ventured onto the expansive plains of eastern Colorado and western Kansas. This migration was driven by the abundance of buffalo on the plains, providing the Comanches with a valuable resource for sustenance and trade. In their new environment, the Comanches became expert equestrians, utilizing horses for various purposes, including hunting, trading, and warfare. The horse not only became a mode of transportation, but also a symbol of status and power within Comanche society. The Comanches were unmatched in horsemanship, with children starting to ride from a young age. Both men and women honed remarkable equestrian abilities, showcasing their prowess with horses. One important thing to note about the Comanches as regards horses is that they had a special knack for catching and training wild horses. Once they see a horse in sight, they move swiftly by swerving a rope around the horse's neck as a means to capture it. Once secured, they begin to choke it till it gets out of breath and faints in exhaustion. Then the capture moves swiftly towards the horse, blows carefully into the horse's nose, and brings it back to consciousness. They'd also clean up the horse a bit by removing wild hairs around its eyes. Then they'd put on a headstall, like a special horse gear, to control it. The wild horse would be paired with a calm mare, forming a bond. The handler would gradually familiarize the horse with human presence. After a few days, the horse was set free, but stayed close to the mare, shadowing her movements. When it was time to ride, the handler would guide the horse into deep water or a creek with a sandy bottom. This not only helped reduce the horse's resistance, but also softened the landing if it managed to buck off its rider. William Blakemore, an Englishman who spent 8 years with the tribe, provided this depiction. On foot, slow and awkward, but on horseback graceful, they are the most expert and daring riders in the world. In battle, they sweep down upon their enemies with terrific yells, and concealing the whole body except 1 foot behind their horses, discharge bullets or arrows over and under the animal's neck, and accurately. Each has his favorite warhorse, which he regards with great affection, and only mounts when he goes into battle. Even the women are daring riders and hunters, lassoing antelope and shooting buffalo. The Comanches grew quickly and greatly, gaining ground as a tribe that was formidable in the art of war. They were madly tenacious and extremely violent with their enemies. After Spain got Louisiana from France, after a big war, Spanish soldiers reported how unparalleled the Comanche were at riding horses and seemingly fearless in the face of war. The Comanche didn't make deals for peace. They were bold and tough. Many European settlers were killed by the Comanche, making the French, Spanish, and Americans think it was nearly impossible to take their land. The Comanche were so ferocious that they single-handedly prevented the expansion of the Spanish for close to 50 years. General James Wilkinson from the United States said the Comanches were the toughest indigenous group on this continent. Initially labeled as horse thieves, the Comanche earned a fearsome reputation with their ruthless raids, so intense that it was dubbed Comanche Moon by northern Spanish and Mexican settlers. In these brutal nighttime assaults, hundreds of Comanches on horseback would invade Mexican settlements, massacring men, abducting women, and making off with horses. When European settlers traversed their territories, the Comanche would attack the men, take their horses, and later offer to sell the stolen horses to the Spanish-Mexican Empire or the American. Despite being estimated at around 40,000 individuals, each Comanche person was said to own 2 to 3 horses. In their culture, young braves had to establish their status through frequent raids, showcasing their ability to kill and steal. This was the sole route to gaining prestige, wealth, and respect within their families and bands. It served as a way for them to demonstrate strength and proficiency in providing for their challenging way of life, centered around strict adherence to custom and tradition. Notably, Comanche women were known for their skilled and relentless torture methods, inflicted upon captives. Once at the mercy of a Comanche woman, the enemy would pray earnestly for death. According to S.C. Gwynn, the author of Empire of the Summer Moon, detailing the Comanche's rise and fall, he bluntly states, "No other tribe in the history of Spanish, French, Mexican, Texan, and American presence in this region has inflicted such we to spread havoc and death. There isn't even a close second." Gwynn vividly describes the demonic immorality characterizing Comanche's attacks on white settlers, where routine practices included torture, killings, and gang rapes. He clarifies the grim logic behind Comanche raids, explaining all the men were killed and any captured alive were subjected to torture. Captive women endured gang rapes, and tragically, babies were consistently killed. In the historical narrative presented by T.R. Fehrenbach, the author of Comanche, The History of a People, a distressing incident unfolds involving the Parkers, an early settler family residing within Fort Parker. The year was 1836, when approximately 100 Comanche warriors, mounted on horses, approached the fort. To deceive the Parkers, one warrior waved a white flag. Detailing the tragic event, Fehrenbach describes, in an attempt to parley with the Comanche, Benjamin Parker stepped outside the fort's gate. Witnessing this, those within the fort saw the riders swiftly encircle him, driving their lances into him. With loud war cries, the mounted warriors charged for the gate, catching Silas Parker before he could secure it. The horde of horsemen poured into the fort. Survivors painfully recounted the gruesome scene. The two Frosts, father and son, met their demise in front of the women. John Parker faced a horrific fate. Brutally incapacitated, scalped, and subjected to mutilation. Granny Parker, stripped of her dignity, was impaled to the ground with a lance through her flesh, enduring unspeakable assaults while her screams echoed. The Comanche were known for using harsh methods of torture, like roasting captive American and Mexican soldiers alive over open fires. Some suffered from castration and scalping while they were still alive. One particularly painful torture involved burying captives up to their chins and cutting off their eyelids, leaving their eyes exposed to the burning sun until they died of starvation. Historical accounts also tell of the Comanche staking out naked male captives over red ant beds, a gruesome act sometimes done after removing the victim's private parts, putting them in their mouth, and sewing their lips together. In another cruel tactic, captives were sewn into untreated leather and left in the sun. As the leather dried and tightened, it slowly squeezed the prisoner to death. According to T.R. Fehrenbach, a Spanish account reveals the Comanche torturing Tonkawa Indian captives by burning their hands and feet until the nerves were destroyed, amputating these extremities, and then repeating the fire treatment on fresh wounds. The Tonkawas, who were scalped alive, also had their tongues torn out to stop them from screaming. Before we uncover the next deadliest tribe, kindly give us a thumbs up and don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel. The Iroquois Confederacy, also known as the Haudenosaunee or Six Nations, stands as a remarkable example of indigenous political and social organization in North America. The roots of this powerful alliance can be traced back to a complex process that involved the collaboration of distinct tribes, such as the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca. The Mohawk, situated to the east, were known for their strategic location and interactions with early European settlers. The Oneida, with their roots in the Great Lakes region, and the Onondaga, positioned in the central part of present-day New York, added to the Confederacy's geographical and cultural diversity. The Cayuga and Seneca, residing to the west and south, respectively, complemented this alliance with their unique perspectives and contributions. The name Iroquois isn't originally from this confederation. Instead, it was originally from the Algonquins, who were well-known enemies of this confederacy. They called them Iroquois at any given chance, which means rattlesnake. Why exactly were they called rattlesnakes? Well, that is simply because they were exceptionally skilled at sneaking up on their enemies and launching not just the quickest, but also the deadliest strikes. Before the enemy would recover, countless numbers of able-bodied men would have fallen dead. The Iroquois, recognized for their assertive nature, frequently engaged in territorial expansions through raids on rival tribes. They defeated countless Native American tribes and were effortlessly the terror of many. Among the tribes significantly affected by these incursions were the Huron, Erie, and Susquehanna. Iroquois youth underwent early military training, honing their skills with bows, arrows, spears, and clubs. During adolescence, they actively participated in raids against both rival Native American groups and, at times, white settlers. This explains why they grow up to become ruthless, fighting without emotions with the sole aim of gaining nothing but victory. The display of military prowess not only brought prestige, but also paved the way for individuals to ascend to the esteemed position of war chief. One grim aspect of Iroquois warfare involved the treatment of prisoners. Captives often faced the harrowing ordeal of running the gauntlet, an ominous ritual that required them to sprint between two rows of Iroquois warriors armed with thorny sticks and branches, subjecting them to physical punishment. This practice served as a harsh testament to the intensity of intertribal conflicts and the stringent military culture within the Iroquois society. The Beaver Wars, spanning the 17th century, marked a fierce period for the Iroquois Confederacy as they engaged in a series of conflicts aimed at expanding their territorial dominance. One of their notable conquests was the subjugation of the Susquehannocks in present-day Pennsylvania. Moreover, the Iroquois significantly weakened the Huron peoples around the Great Lakes, consolidating their influence in the region. By the early 700s, the zenith of their power, the Iroquois controlled an extensive expanse of land, ranging from the western territories of Illinois to the northern reaches of Michigan, and extending southward to the hills of Tennessee. What set the Iroquois Confederacy apart was their remarkable ability to maintain unity among the various nations within their confederation. This cohesion was particularly evident during the French and Indian War, where all Iroquois nations aligned with the British. This proves this Bible verse which says, "And if one prevails against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken." Of course, unity can build a formidable nation. The Apache people are part of the southern branch of the Athabascan group. This group's languages are spoken in a large family across Alaska, western Canada, and the American Southwest. Different branches of Apache tribes lived in a region stretching from the Arkansas River to northern Mexico, and from central Texas to central Arizona. The Apache people not only endured but thrived amidst being surrounded by powerful empires, successfully scaling through challenges posed by the Spanish, Comanche, Ute, and American influence. Situated in inhospitable terrain, the Apache displayed remarkable adaptability, becoming masters of mobile guerrilla warfare armed with both traditional bows and the more modern rifles introduced by European power. It is said that Apache warriors can fire several shots of arrows in a single attempt while riding expertly on a horse. The survival strategies of the Apache were carefully tied to their exceptional skills in achieving stealth and surprise, forming the bedrock of their military prowess. Simply put, they were masters at hide and seek. This ability allowed them to execute sudden and unexpected strikes against their adversaries, catching them off guard and ultimately demoralizing them. The Apache warriors, adept in the art of surprise attacks, would swiftly emerge from hiding, launch precise assaults, and just as swiftly retreat into the nature they intimately understood. One of the remarkable aspects of Apache warfare was their excellence in raiding. They demonstrated an unparalleled capacity to cover vast distances at remarkable speeds, whether on foot or horseback. This mobility, combined with their strategic prowess, allowed them to strike targets with precision and then retreat before their enemies could recover from the shock. The Apache people seamlessly integrated Spanish horses and steel weapons into their warfare tactics, showcasing their adaptability. They quickly learned how to utilize lances and knives with impressive speed, further enhancing their effectiveness in battle. General Crook's characterization of the Apaches as the tigers of the human race aptly captured the formidable nature of these warriors. Their ruggedness and physical prowess were such that they could outpace a cavalry on foot, showcasing an exceptional level of agility and endurance. In the heat of battle, Apaches displayed remarkable skill in archery, releasing 7 arrows into the air before the first one even hit the ground, proof of their quick and precise marksmanship. When it comes to torturing their captives, they did so with no single remorse. Enemies were skinned and burnt alive, and the children of their enemies met the cold face of death with their heads smashed against a wall. To add to their cruelty, they had high respect for anyone who was able to invent a new method of torturing captives. To wrap it all up, these 3 tribes will continue to stand out as the ones which effortlessly echoed fear in the hearts of all their enemies. Share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. And if you're yet to give a thumbs up, kindly do so. Stick around for our latest updates by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you.